Hey everyone, welcome back to the Forging Futures YouTube channel. I'm your host Stanton, and I'm happy to have you here. Today, I'm working on forge welding. Again, it's something I've tried a few times and I've not had a lot of success with it. Part of that is obviously my lack of experience, but I've also learned that that 5160 or leaf springs are really difficult and not the best thing in the world for beginners to work with. So today I'm working on forge welding, but with a different material. I'm gonna try, let's see, I've got a couple of options actually. I've got some mild steel, which I could do, but then I would just have a big block of mild steel that I wouldn't really have anything to do with. My original plan was to take some of the bearings that I got, if you saw the big bearing little knife build, take some of those bearings and forge weld those together. But now that I'm looking at them, I remember how horrible those things are to try to move. That material is just so tough to work with without power equipment, and I really have no desire to work with that. So I need a plan B. And I've got an idea, something that I kind of want to try, but I'm also kind of afraid that it might be a waste of metal. I've got some brand new 80 CRV2, which is a fantastic knife steel. It's brand new material. Here, I'll show you. And I bought it in a stick like this. So it's 80 CRV2. This is 3/16 by 1/2 inch, or sorry, 1.5 inch by 3/16 thick. So I'm thinking about cutting a few slices of that and tacking those together, and then putting that in the forge and forge welding those together. And I'm a little worried about wasting good material, but hey, it's all for the sake of learning, right? Okay, I've got my adorable little stack of 80 CRV2 tack welded up. I'm gonna stick that in the fire, let it get warmed up a little bit, put some flux on it, and then I'll attempt to forge weld this. Took 3 heats, light taps on the first one, a little bit heavier hits on the second, harder on the third, and then I started trying to work it a little bit on each of the sides. And so far, it looks like it's holding together. So I'm pretty optimistic that this is working. I don't know if this is going to be enough mass to make much of a knife, but it looks like it's roughly the same amount as one of the bearings. So hey, I made a knife out of one of those before, so I should be able to get something out of this. I don't think it's a waste of material. If nothing else, it's an experience. I'm gonna keep working it and trying to draw it out a little bit, which means I'll be hitting it with the intent of making it longer and thinner. Taking it from basically a cube into a longer, thinner piece of like square stock. And we'll see how that goes. If you look right there between the top 2 and the bottom 3 layers, you can see that gap starting to open up a little bit. Now I don't know if that's just the very edge where they're not welded or if that's all the way through. Over here it doesn't look as bad. You can see the top layers, the the top 2 layers and the bottom 2 layers are smushed together pretty well. I'm gonna keep working it and see what happens. Maybe it's not very deep. Do next is I'm going to take this and cut the 2 ends off where I MIG welded where I tacked the stack together, and then I'm going to take a grinding wheel and grind down the sides. And I'm going to do that for a couple of reasons. One, you don't want any MIG weld material in your billet, because if that ends up on the edge and you go to quench, that's going to turn out to be a soft material. So you don't want any MIG weld ending up on your edge. And also, the edges of your billet are known trouble areas. Those spots don't always weld up tight, and I've got one spot right here on the end. You can't really tell now that it's cooled down, but there's one spot right there that I'm a little worried about. So I'm going to take and cut those ends off and grind down the sides and see just how well this is all stuck together. If I cut all that off and it falls apart, then obviously the weld didn't hold. But since the tack welds were originally all that was holding this together, if I cut those ends off and it stays together, we're good to go. After a fair amount of grinding, I come up with this. I cut the ends off, and one of the ends fell off in 2 pieces, which was really concerning, but that was the end that started to try to open up. And if you can tell, I don't know if you can see it in the camera. Get it in focus. There's a faint line about 2/3 of the way up that billet, and I believe that is where those layers didn't fully weld together. So this is not 100% fully welded, but I'd call it about 85%. I'm gonna go with that. And it's enough of a weld for me to call it a success. I'm happy with this result. I learned something. In fact, I learned a lot. I'm really happy about this. Unfortunately, it's about 5/8 by 5/8 by 2 1/4, which means and obviously some of it's not 100% welded, which means it's probably not enough material to do anything with. I could trim the end off and use it for like a pommel, something like that. I don't know. Tell you what, put down in the comments what you think I should do with it. If you've got any ideas, I'd be happy to hear them. Maybe we'll come up with something. Until then, I'm going to set it aside, and I'm not getting rid of it. It's my first forge weld. So that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. I couldn't do this without you. In fact, I do this for you guys. This channel is all about learning and self-improvement through mastery of a craft. And it's as much for you guys as it is for me. I want to inspire you guys to take up something, learn a new trade, learn a craft, and see where that journey takes you. So if you got anything out of this video, please do me a favor and hit like, share, and subscribe. All those things really help out. Also, I've got a website now, www.forgingfutures.weebly.com. There you'll find all kinds of things like blogs, a gallery of things that I've made. That probably won't go on there, so don't worry about that. But just products that I've viewed, that I recommend, books that I've read, some Amazon affiliate links, and eventually there will be things for sale once I get good enough to sell stuff. If you would, do me a favor, check that out, and I would really appreciate it. Have a great day, you guys. Thanks for watching. And remember, forge your own future and make stuff.